Hi, welcome back, and today we're going to kind of expand on this type of drawing that we were doing the last day. This drawing style is actually called oblique drawing, okay? So the word is oblique. That's a cue. And it's called oblique drawing, and essentially it's where you take an object and you draw lines back from the corners at the same angle and then join them up at the back. So we're going to try and develop this a little bit more and hopefully get you practicing it a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to get a fresh piece of paper. I have my pencils, rubbers, rulers. I have all of my equipment beside me, and let's have a more detailed look at this now. So you're familiar with, or should be familiar with, the angle of 90 degrees. So if we draw a vertical line and a horizontal line, that's approximately 90 degrees in there, this angle here. Now in oblique drawing, the lines that go back from the object can be anywhere in between those two, but they should always be the same. So if for the first drawing you decided to do lines going back at that angle, which looks about 45 degrees, all of your lines going back should be at that angle. Another angle that's very popular is 30 degrees. So 45 degrees would be halfway between these two, because that's 90, half of that is 45. And to get 30 degrees, you want to come about 2/3. So if you can imagine here, we've got a curve. Now if we break that up into 3 sections, that angle there is approximately 30 degrees. What you choose to do will depend on how you want to go about it. But all of this is around the basics of oblique drawing. Now, before we continue, so that's oblique. And one of the things about this is it's not the most pleasant way of looking at something. A much more pleasant one, which we'll look at next week, is called isometric. But it's more difficult to do than oblique. And then a more difficult but the most realistic of them all is called perspective. And I'll stick in a couple of pictures here of each so that you can see which is which and why perspective is really cool. And I'm going to show you how to do each of these. So this week we're going to concentrate on oblique, then we're going to concentrate on isometric, and then we're going to concentrate on perspective. And we're going to do all of it pretty much without rulers. So today we're going to pick an angle and we're going to stick to that angle going back from the object. So let's start off with a pretty simple shape. I don't want something too easy like a cube, so I'm going to draw kind of an L-shaped body, and this is kind of warming me up and practicing for more difficult drawings. So I'm drawing kind of lightly here. I'm not leaning on the page or anything, because I just want to get the outline of this object. And sorry, I bumped the camera light there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to just check with a ruler just to see how we did. Yeah, those lines are pretty good. That one's maybe a bit off vertical. Yeah, so I'm just going to rub this line out. I prefer it to be nicer. I want to get a line a bit more vertical than that. And there we go. And again, all of this is being done lightly. So I want to decide on what angle I want to go back at. It doesn't particularly matter. I'm going to tilt the page slightly. And I'm going to go back again lightly. I'm going to draw long light lines out at this angle. And I'm going to try and keep that angle and go back from all of the corners. So I end up with this. And it doesn't matter how long you do those. Do them lightly so we can rub out any extension afterwards. Now you could equally go off this direction, and I'll do that quickly in a minute just to show you. So then we decide how far back do we want to go. So I want to go back, we'll say this far. So I want that to be the depth of my object. So then I start copying this shape from here. So from that point, I'm going to go straight up until it hits that line. From there it goes straight across. So I'm just going to follow that around and try and keep everything parallel. So this line is parallel to that one. This one I want to parallel. And then this one over here, parallel again. And you'll notice I did everything light. These lines are too long. It doesn't matter. I'm going to come back now with my pen, the gel one that I like, and I'm going to go around the lines that I want to keep. Now I'm doing it this way because I'm trying to keep all of these lines going the same direction. So if my hand is repetitively going that same direction, I have a better chance of keeping it like that. Now it's a bit messy over here, so I'm just going to try and tidy that up with my pencil before. There we go, happier with that. And yes, we will make little mistakes and little lines will go all over the place, and that's part of sketching. It's not supposed to be a pure drawing like a technical graphics or technical drawing. And then finally I'm going to do these lines. And there we have our object, and we're happy with that. And if you wish, you can come along with a rubber afterwards and just run over all of those lines to get rid of the light pencil marks underneath. It's not necessary. Sometimes a lot of people like seeing the light pencil lines around and think it makes it look better. So just to quickly do the same, pretty much same shape, I'll do a smaller version of it here. And so as you can see what it kind of looks like going the other direction. So again, we just pick an angle and we go at that angle the whole time. Pick our distance back and follow the shape around again then. Now here's a tricky little bit, because we can't see where it comes down here and goes in. So we can do it, and there's two ways we can do it. One, we can get a measure of this distance here and copy it out there. Or you can do it lightly, like this, like as if the thing was see-through, and then come across here. And now we could get our rubber and rub out this bit in the middle. And we can't see where it is anymore. Okay? I'm not going to go over that in heavy again. So pause the video here, try some simple shape like that, and we shall move on. Right, let's go for something a little bit more complicated. Looking around my kitchen, I can see the cooker there. It's quite square. Most of the detail is on the front, so we're going to do something like that. So it's a rectangular shape, so I'm going to quickly sketch out a rectangle. Try and get the proportions right, as in the height to the width, and if you're looking at it you should get a fair idea. And straight across here. I can't see the depth of the cooker really, but I can give a guess at it, and I'm going to go back at a shallower angle this time, and again I'm going to keep it all light and keep it all the same. Pick my distance back, so that's it. So I'm going to go straight up and then come straight around and straight across there. And that's basically the shape for my cooker. It's just a cube, that's all we're starting off with. Let's see, I've got 4 rings on the top of this on my cooker, so I'm going to pick what looks to me to be halfway there. I'm going to split this up into 4 sections, and I'm going to draw a line back at that angle. And then I'm going to split the side here to approximately halfway, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line. And there I've essentially got my 4 sections. Now this isn't going to be brilliant. I'm not great at drawing circles, but I'm going to try and very lightly draw in 4 rings and try and keep them the same size. Now as you can see that's not great, but what I'm going to be doing is later on I'm going to be coming back with my pen and I'm going to use those as a guide to give me a bit more weight. But it does give the idea of 4 rings on the back. Now the next thing is we have a front door, so the door is about halfway, slightly more than halfway down. So I'm going to draw a line across there. So that's the first door and that's the bottom door. I also have a control panel here, so I'm going to put a line in there. That's my control panel, first door, bottom door. I don't know what they're used for. I think you just put food in them and magic happens and they come out hot. They both have windows, which are pretty square in them. So I'm going to draw lightly again the whole time, always light pencils, light strokes. Trying to keep the same distance here as here. And we'll make this window a bit deeper. And then I'm lining these guys up here. I'm lining that up there. So that's pretty much the front. Now, control panel. So I've got a little clock in the front. Can't see the time from here. I have a few little buttons underneath that. And then I've got 3 knobs, 2 here, 1 there, and then 4 knobs over this side. So this thing is starting to look more and more like a cooker as we go on. Now I do have handles on it, and I may not have left enough of a gap here for the handles, but let's work on that. Actually, we're going to put our handles down the side here so that they turn out this way, because it doesn't have to be real, it's a sketch. So I'm going to put a line down the whole way here, and I want these handles to be 3D. I want them to look like they're pulling out. This is going to be the width of my handle. Try and keep that width consistently down the way. So that's where that starts. So we're going to keep it in line with the windows to make things easier. Now, these come out, so this is actually the back of them. We need to go at a line that's parallel to these out from those corners. So we're going to see the top. So I'm just going to draw these lightly out, longer than I need to. We can worry about them being shortened in a minute. And now we're going to pick our depth. So we'll say somewhere around there. So I'm going to bring that point down until it hits the corresponding line here. Go across here and here. So I'm basically doing a skeleton wireframe, it's called, of these handles. And I need that to come down here. So that's lining up with that. So this is where things are getting a little bit more tricky and neat. So that means you have to be a little bit more careful and neat. So there we've got the outline. Now I want to put it so that you can put your hands in there. So I'm going to take a little section out of each one here. Okay, so we pretty much got the cooker. I think it looks pretty reasonable. Now, let me see. Okay, so inside here I have a tray, so I'm just going to kind of give the outline of trays in here. And the trays have a grill, so I'm just going to go. And I'm not going to darken these in later on. These are actually going to remain here as just suggestions of something. So let's go and outline this now. Try and do this quickly. I might speed this up so that you can see it at the end. Okay, so there we go. I don't think that looks too bad now at all. I think it's pretty decent. So let's use our pencil and add a little bit of shade and make things look a little bit more glossy and things like that. and try and give it some depth. So we could get our pencil and give some of this a little colour maybe towards the back, just to give it a bit more depth as it goes along. Try and do a lighter one closer here. And another thing you can do is you can come along with your pencil or your finger and just rub it, and it kind of blends things in together. Probably need to do that a bit harder. And remember, you have a rubber. If you go over the line, you can always rub out stuff. You can blend that in a little, just gives it a bit of a shade on the back. These guys might be a little bit darker. Now, where's my other small little pencil then? I like that one for shading. Sorry, it was this one, because it's the end of the pen is blunter. Okay, sorry about that, but the camera actually ran out while I was finishing there. So all I did was shaded in those guys a little bit. I went with very lightly over these sections here, because sometimes this glass is tinted, and then I just rubbed it and then got my rubber and went around the edges just to clean it up. And a little squiggle here in the clock area, just to give a sense of time. I'm going to use my rubber here on this as well, just to get rid of those, but you might like to keep them in. So I suggest you pause the video here and go and try some square based object in your house, such as cooker, fridge, microwave, something like that. You should only spend about 10-15 minutes max on it, even if that. Okay, catch you in a little bit.